not a therapy session. Are you ready to push him out and everything?
Yeah, I'm gonna just...
I'm already getting a little emotional.
Like, would it be better to just poop out a little egg and let that grow for 9 months in the corner or something? I would rather push out a baby than hit my toe on that again. It's gonna be okay, sweetie.
Hello, lovely people.
And everyone else.
What? Oh, to not the lovely people?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to do a pregnancy Q&A. I asked on my Instagram story just any questions that you have. So it's going to be kind of like sporadic or whatever. First question before we get started. How ready are you to have this baby?
I'm ready. I am beyond ready.
Are you ready to push him out and everything?
Yeah, I'm gonna just...
What do you think I'm going to sound like?
You screamed at the top of your lungs when Ivy came out.
I was not that bad, was I?
Huh?
I wasn't that loud.
Only the Ring of Fire portion.
Okay, so we are...
No, I'm kidding though, but yeah. I'm so ready. I'm ready for him to be out and like you be over it. Mm-hmm. Not over it, but I'm saying like we know that both of y'all are okay.
Yeah, I know you've been so worried about that. It's
Yeah.
like me and him.
Yeah.
The okay part.
Yeah.
And I'm just been thinking about the birth part.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
nervous.
Yeah.
So let's get into these questions because there's going to be a lot of questions that have to do with that. Okay, first question. Do you think Ivy will be a little jealous of her new baby brother? So far, as of right now, she's not showing any signs, but he's not here.
Right.
She's been talking how excited she is. We just make sure she knows that she's still our baby.
Yeah, I think she will be a little bit. Not necessarily jealous, like, but she's going to be, I don't know how to explain it.
We had a whole talk last night about this and just kind of, we're not going to know until he's here, but we're going ahead and giving her grace because we're like, okay, if she starts acting out or whatever, that could be a sign. We need to reel it in and be like, okay, what is she trying to tell us? Does she need more attention from one of us? She's the only one right now.
Yeah.
So even though she's so thrilled that he's coming,
it's going to be an
he's
adjustment,
not here.
Obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever she sees that mommy's holding a baby and all that, I don't know. I think she's going to be excited for that aspect of it because she loves babies. What did you say somebody said about their sibling?
They told me that they're similar age gaps and an older girl, baby boy. The baby's 8 months old now. And she said that at first it was great. Like the daughter didn't really have any jealousy. But now that the baby is older and I guess maybe requiring a little bit more like hands-on playtime or whatever, the older girl is now starting to get jealous.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, I thought we'd be past it by that point.
Right,
But,
yeah. But it does make sense.
Everybody's different too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
Another question kind of to do that was about just how we're going to not deal with, but the transition period. And I think we just talked about that.
Yeah.
Of making sure we still have that one-on-one time with Ivy and just being really intentional about all of it.
Yeah.
So who knows?
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a second-time parent or multiple parents of multiples, I mean... Yeah. I wonder, like, how was it for you?
Yeah.
Okay. What are the differences in this second pregnancy than with your first? Whew. All of them.
Everything. You name it, it's different.
I absolutely loved being pregnant with Ivy. I was very excited when I was pregnant again because I was like, yay! I was so confident when I was pregnant with Ivy.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be the same, but I'm 3 years older. I'm a way worse diabetic than I was then because that's when I was initially diagnosed.
Yeah.
So even though now looking back, that was a breeze.
Yep.
Dealing with diabetes during that pregnancy
was
easy compared to this pregnancy. And I think that's what shocked me a little bit was how hard it was to manage this time.
In a nutshell, diabetes is harder. You've been sicker in the beginning. You were sicker, more sick. You have a lot more pain, a lot more swelling.
A lot more achiness.
Yeah.
A lot more misery.
A lot more
like I'm
misery.
just like...
Yeah.
Constantly. But then you go back to, well, you didn't have a toddler with your first. I could lay down, watch movies all day, whatever. And now it's hard to do. Now near the end, I've had to be like, I cannot do much more.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you're here to help and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel more guilty because I have a 3-year-old who wants mommy to play with her and I can't just like do all of it anymore. Also with Ivy, I only gained 15 pounds. In this pregnancy, I gained over like 50. And so it's, in that sense, mentally, it was challenging. Confidence-wise, it's just, you know, you compare yourself to yourself. And I'm comparing myself to my old pregnancy. And I'm just like, wow, it's so different.
Yeah.
So I was sick.
Nothing you can do about it, though, really.
Right,
it's
for
just
sure.
luck of the draw.
Exactly.
I guess.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, so all pregnancies are different.
Yeah, isn't that so weird?
Yes, they are. And the pelvic pain. I didn't have pelvic pain with Ivy, but this time I did. So speaking of diabetes, somebody asked, how did you lower your A1C? What changes did you make? So before I got pregnant, it was like over a year ago or whatever, my A1C was 11. And so my endocrinologist was like, do not get pregnant right now. It's just you need to get your A1C to at least a 7 before you even start trying or whatever. And so that kind of goes into our whole like months long of, are we going to try? Are we trying? Tried 1 month, took a break. We had a miscarriage, all that.
Yeah.
And so my A1C got down to like a 7, I think, when we got pregnant. And then from there, even though it was so hard to control my diabetes daily, like the number thing, it was, I think they say to be a controlled diabetic, it needs to be 80% in range, 20% out of range, high or low. And I was like 50-50 the whole time. And my range goal was 65 to 150. 130. 130, yeah. So anything above 130 took me out of range, and anything below 65 took me below. And so I was having a lot of high spikes. Like I could never figure out to get it down. So every week I was having to adjust my insulin, all of that. And so I would say it took until 3rd trimester, and then things finally started settling.
Yeah.
And now my A1C is a 5.2. For a few months it was a 5.6, and I was just excited with that it was like kind of stable.
Yeah.
We're getting a package. Okay. So then when I went like last week, it was a 5.2. That just made my day.
Yeah.
Because I have been struggling. Oh, and I'm finally in the 80% range of it being in the range it's supposed to be. So how I did that, I've just watched what I've eaten. I've eaten a lot of protein, good carbs. Now I have treated myself every now and then I'll just dose for it. But I feel like I can finally do that now.
Yeah.
Because before I would try to treat myself.
It also took you like really figuring out, being pregnant and not, really figuring out like what works for you. Like for a long time, it's not as bad now, but from like, I would say maybe 15 to like 30 weeks in the pregnancy time, you were having a dose like an hour before we ate. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm doing that now. I wasn't dosing an hour.
That's what I'm saying though. That's what helps you. Like figuring out what works for you and your body.
Yeah. So seeing my endocrinologist basically weekly now. And now we don't even have to adjust my numbers, but no one knows how to work your pump best than you. And so I think that is what one thing I had to do too. I was waiting for just the next visit to the endocrinologist to adjust my numbers, and I just started like slowly adjusting them myself, and that helped too, you know?
Yeah.
All that, but high protein, good carbs, and like if I eat a carb, I also eat a protein with it. If I eat a carb, I also eat a fat with it. I pair a carb with a fat or a protein. I'm not active either. No. If I would have started out that way, I could have, but I've had such bad pelvic pain that I haven't been able to really do much. Like even walking, it hurts.
Yeah. You kind of go in spells though, whether you're like working out or not.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of water. Yeah. But that's just diet wise and stuff. Yeah. Also, I might have shared this before. Before pregnancy, I was on maybe 5 units of insulin a day.
Yeah.
And now I'm on 200 units a day.
That is wacky tobacco.
Natural or medicated birth for brewer? If natural, what are your tips? Because I'm being induced, unless I just happen to go into labor before my induction date, I'm considered still medicated birth.
Right.
So for me, I'd want to go without an epidural, because with Ivy, I got the epidural, and, you know, I'm all for, like, you do you, however you want to have birth, like, it's your birth experience, all that. But whenever I got the epidural with Ivy, it just didn't work for me, and that was more scary than the pain I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just going into it knowing I'm gonna try to go natural. So I'm like doing it in my head, but also I'm giving myself the grace that, say during, not really for the pain, maybe more for exhaustion at that point, I'll tell my nurse or whatever if I want it. Like he knows not to, if I'm, say, going through a painful contraction and I have a doula, they know I want to go without the epidural. And so even if I'm like, please give me the epidural, like during a contraction, whatever happens during a contraction stays during a contraction. So if I truly mean it and want it, then I will tell my nurse in between a contraction. So knowing that, like, makes me feel good going in. So, but in case you're wondering, so I did get the epidural with Ivy, and they ended up having to like poke me twice, and
you got
so
like too much of a bolus.
Yeah, it made it way too high up my body. I couldn't move anywhere, feel anything, like all the way up here, and I was starting to panic. I couldn't breathe. My blood pressure started tanking. All these people come in the room, and then so they had to shut it off. And so by the time that I started feeling pain again, and they're like, "We know what happened. We just gave you too much, whatever." So I was gonna turn it back on because the pain was, I was not wanting to feel it.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I was ready for them to like cut it back on, like I had feeling back and everything, it was time to push. So now I'm like, well, I practically did it.
Yeah.
But I am curious this time like I didn't feel the transition period. So in that transition from a 7 to a 10 or whatever, I didn't really feel much of that.
Yeah.
And so
we think.
Yeah. We'll see.
But
Who
you went
knows?
so fast. It was, yeah.
I hope it goes fast this time.
I know, me too.
I only pushed for 8 minutes with Ivy, and they say with your second, it goes by even quicker. But I'm like, well, what if it doesn't? What if it's the opposite?
Yeah.
So I don't want to bank on that because I don't want to get discouraged if it's not happening as quick as it did with Ivy.
Because he's a little bigger too.
So, okay, talking about going natural, are there any tips? Because he went with me, took birthing classes, and I have a doula. So she'll be there to kind of coach us through just more of the abdominal breathing, counter pressure. He learned how to kind of do all those things. The effleurage. We have a video on it of me in one of the classes if y'all want to go watch that. And other than that, I might want to play my worship music or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, did you create a birth plan? If so, how far along did you complete it? So with my doula, because that part of booking her, she helped me with my birth plan. Because I'm high risk and there was talk about me being induced early, like even 36 weeks or just never know when. We did my birth plan around 34 weeks.
Yeah.
Really, it was like 33, 34 weeks. Yeah. So that's how far along it was. And then on the birth plan, it's basically just what I want my whole birth team to know. Like, don't ask me over and over again if I want the epidural. Like, I know I will tell you if I want the epidural. I don't want the IV in my hand. Y'all, that was the worst pain for me. More than the birth itself, I feel like the hand pain was awful with the needle in it because everything I did, I could feel it. Like, it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
Just having that thing in my hand. So we're going to put it up here on the forearm. Are they going to be able to do that? What if they tell me they can't?
Oh, they can do it.
Okay. And then I'm going to do like patient-led induction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Patient-led induction. So like you turn the pit up whenever you want it.
Okay. Yeah. And actually with Ivy, I didn't require a lot of Pitocin. So I'm curious how this one will go.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then what else on a birth plan? Just things like I want the delayed cord clamping.
Yeah.
Baby skin to skin immediately. No tugging to pull the placenta out. Things like that, which most good doctors do that stuff anyways. But just so it's out there written.
Yeah.
And then in the case that I have to have a C-section, I want the drape below the breast and they can put the baby up here or I can still stay in the room while they're doing everything. Things like that.
Yeah.
You can Google birth plans too and just see what other people have on there.
Yeah.
It's basically very generic. So because I'm being induced, it looks a lot different versus if you're just saying you're going in without natural. Like I'll have to get fluids if I'm getting Pitocin or else it'll burn. Things like that.
You can look them up though.
It's so simple. Yeah. You don't have to have one.
Right.
Like we didn't have one with Ivy. You just go with the flow.
I will say, like, we were good with Ivy. We had a great doctor. Everything was good. Everything went well. And then for him, we took the birth classes. And so I will say, like, if you don't, or maybe if it's your first baby, or like us, it was our second, you should definitely educate yourself because you have so many more options than people realize. Like, for you to choose what you want and how you prefer things, which is the way it should be, but everybody usually just gets the same treatment. Not always, obviously, but...
Yeah, it depends on your doctor, too. But it was very insightful just to be educated, and because then we're, like, looking back at birth, like, oh, we could have had this option, but it's like you go see your doctor for 15 minutes, say at your appointment, and they're only going to tell you, like, 3 things, versus you actually have 15 options, but that would take forever for them to go over, things like that.
Yeah.
But also, if you have a good doctor, you trust them, there's,
Yeah, for sure.
We loved our doctor and he did great. So what's the emotions, thoughts pre-birth with you and your husband?
Ready.
I'm
ready for like our new normal and to like get in a groove. Not that you really can with a newborn, but as much as we can and like just figure out what our new life looks like, kind of,
Yeah.
Ready for you to not be pregnant and struggling anymore.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I told him last night, because I know he's worried about my mental health because with Ivy, I did struggle with postpartum depression and anxiety after, but I already feel better. I think I was already depressed at the end of my pregnancy with Ivy starting.
Yeah.
And so this time I don't feel that way. I'm eager, excited. I feel like you do go into it with a new confidence. Obviously, there's the typical stuff we're going to worry about. Like, is he breathing? Check. We're going to watch him all the time. Like, is he, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I don't know. We're in a different season of life. So
much different.
I told him last night, I'm like, if I have my days, I'm going to cry and stuff. That doesn't mean I'm depressed. That's my hormones needing to come out and things like that. Like, and he even said, you might have bad days and not just moments. moments. It could be days and whatever. But I feel like we'll just be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
I'll be able to recognize if I'm feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
So
I think like when you had Ivy too, it was something that you like didn't necessarily want to like admit at first. And then once you finally did, then it was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in a way, I guess you could say that we waited too long to like try to get help or whatever.
What made you think of his name? So Brewer is his first name.
Brewer is my mom's maiden name, and there's not really like many boys left with the last name, so we wanted to, and we always just liked the name in general.
And he actually has a cousin that also named their kid Brewer.
Yeah.
I like how unique it is too. And I just never heard it. And we had this name picked out. If Ivy was a boy, it was going to be Brewer. And so we knew if we ever had a boy, it'd be Brewer.
Yeah.
It's more so his middle name that has all the meaning.
Oh, the meaning. Yeah. Well, not that Brewer doesn't have meaning, obviously, but yeah.
We just finally decided.
We picked out his middle name. Yeah.
So at this point, we'll just wait till he's here to share it.
Yeah.
It does feel good to finally know it.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of meaning. So we'll have to share that.
Yeah.
Are you wanting to have more than 2 kids?
What do you think?
If you asked me at the beginning of the pregnancy, like when we first got pregnant again, I remember clearly telling Hunter, I don't know, maybe we are going to have 3 because remember, we only wanted to have 1 and here I am pregnant again. And now that it's like...
No sirree, Bobby!
The end of this pregnancy, we're both like... Done.
If Devin didn't have like health issues herself, it would be different, but I don't know if you would survive another pregnancy.
He's meaning being literal too.
I'm like, yeah. Well, it sounds kind of morbid, and I'm kind of being funny, but on the other hand, I'm kind of not.
I think with how bad it's been, diabetic wise, health wise, all that,
yeah,
it's way worse than it was with Ivy, and so we're just like, okay, it would get even worse maybe with another one.
I couldn't imagine, like,
And so even one of my doctors, because I saw a few, like it contraindicated it to get pregnant again. It's not safe.
Against medical advice.
Yes,
to get pregnant again. So I'm like, say less.
So we're so serious that we're talking about getting the snippy.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think we're done. And I think it helps that it's a boy and a girl. And I've been praying about it because I told him, at first I was like, I'm not, like, what if God wants us to have more or whatever? I feel complete in a way.
Like I said, at this point.
And I want to be here and healthy for the babies I'll have here.
It's not necessarily about the kids at this point. It's more about you to me. You know what I'm saying?
That's sweet. Is Brewer more active than Ivy was? No. And so I'm really hoping that means that out of the womb, he is chill because Ivy in the womb, kicking, punching all the time.
Bag.
I never was concerned with her health or whatever because I'm like, she's doing good in there. She's a kicking. With Brewer, it will literally be sometimes, I feel like days. And I'm like, I haven't felt him move much.
And Ivy, she's almost 3.5 now. And homegirl, she still moves.
She don't stop.
She don't stop moving sun up to sundown.
Bless her bones.
We have to like, we're almost at the point we have to like just hold her down in her bed till she falls asleep.
I literally have to like move her to go to sleep.
Yeah. We've always had to do that. Come to think of it, she's wild.
I'm so curious.
Love her to death, though.
Was your pregnancy easier with a girl or boy? It was easier with Ivy for sure.
Yeah.
I did deliver Ivy. I did not have a C-section with Ivy. I had her
natural.
How are you dealing with Ivy no longer being your only baby? I'm already getting a little emotional, for reals. Like the night, if we make it to induction date, whenever we leave her, it already makes me teary-eyed.
Yeah, for sure.
I might be a blubbering mess.
We both wanted a girl before we had Ivy. I did too. And I literally kind of always just wanted a girl. There's a part of me for like a long time I didn't really ever want to have a boy. We like for a while we wanted another girl.
Why do you feel like that is?
I don't know. I just kind of.
Let's have a therapy session.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it just scary you more so?
It did.
Like a more
not necessarily. No, not necessarily that. It was just like I just didn't want to deal with boys like as a teenager. You know, like getting in fights, stuff like that. I'm like, I don't have the patience for that. You know.
But then for girls, you got the heartbreak, the boy craze.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I could just be like, you'll be okay. Go talk to your mom. And I'm like, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a girl, like, this is all you have to do. You know, it's going to be okay, sweetie. And they're fine.
Hunter, that is the sweetest thing actually ever. I'm just
but like
so
a
glad
boy
she has
is
you as
not
a
that
dad.
way. You can't do that to a boy.
Oh, you don't think?
You can. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like
future
16-year-old boy, not baby boy. You know? So that for me was like always kind of I started getting more like open to the idea of having a boy, I guess. Like we could pick, right? But I mean, now I'm obviously very glad it's a boy. Like I love being a girl dad, but she's so girly girl. And so now I'm looking forward to like having a little buddy. You know?
Look, I am like, I'm getting so emotional thinking about her. It's so sweet. Like, it's going to wreck your world when she has her like heartbreak and stuff.
Oh, when she's older? Yeah, for sure.
She's going to want you.
Yeah, you're getting hot. She's done pulled her pants up over here.
Everything makes me cry.
Which is not that uncommon. You crying about everything, but just pregnancy.
Oh, gosh.
Even when you're not pregnant, that's what I'm saying.
Going from Ivy not being the only baby or child or whatever. Like, it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
She's just so special. Hunter, this one's for
Yeah,
you.
okay.
What's the best and worst part of watching your wife give birth?
I mean, the best part is you bringing a baby into the world, obviously. And, like, just watching how strong you are and how capable. It's so crazy. That's just...
Yeah.
It's wild.
Especially me,
that's even,
I'm
like...
such
you're such a baby sometimes. So, like, watching you be, like, a powerful, you know, it's crazy. It's just crazy that that's even, like, how it works.
Yeah.
You know? Like, would it be better to just poop out a little egg and let that grow for 9 months in the corner or something? Wouldn't that be a lot easier? But hey, that's why I'm not the designer. Worst part, I would say, obviously you think, like, watching you go through the pain, but, like, you say, and I think most women would agree that, like, the pain is gone the second that the baby comes out. You know what I'm saying? Evan has hurt herself since delivering Ivy. She's like, I would rather push out a baby than hit my toe on that again. I'm like, how does that even make sense in your head to even think about things like that? But so, like, the worst part is, yes, surface level watching you go through the pain, but it's obviously all worth it.
Right.
It's hard for men to say
but
that.
It's like, you just can't.
That,
but in my mind, like, see me watching you go through something and me not being able to help.
Yeah, that is tough. That is
like,
tough. That's
that
a good
would
point.
be,
that is a good point.
Like, you can
and
do
it's
this
even,
all you want, but
right.
it's like you can't.
You can't help. Yeah. I think that's a hard thing for most men, too, because that's, like, what we're, like, kind of wired to do. It's, like, just fix problems.
Right. And you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is tough. That is tough. Like, I remember before, I would just try to give you, like, words of encouragement, and I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over, and I'm like, gosh, she probably wants me to stop talking. But then the second that I stop talking, you're going to be like, you aren't giving me any affirmation. You know what I'm saying?
I love words of
So
affirmation.
it's like, I don't know. It's just an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. Well,
that you don't even know what to do.
But to me, and everybody's different. There's so many women, I've seen videos or people talking about their husband annoyed them during birth.
Right.
You didn't. Like, I need that from you.
Yeah.
And that, like, affection. And, like,
and
that makes me feel good.
I know. You're a words of affirmation girl. But that's what makes it so challenging in that area is, like you said, all women are different. So it's just, like, you don't really know, like, if you're... Obviously, you're not helping, but you don't know if what you're saying is helping or making it worse.
It's more so for me, just you...
Being there.
Yeah. And looking at me and, you know, me feeling you and that kind of thing.
Oh, God, that felt good.
See, that's what you're going to say on birth. Somebody said, are you nervous for the pain? Yes, I can't lie and say I wouldn't be nervous.
No doubt. You gotta be.
Especially because I had the semi-epidural last time, and I'm curious how different that's going to be.
Yeah.
And it just went so swiftly with Ivy. I'm like, what if it don't happen this time? And it's long, and it's more painful. And he's going to be bigger. Ivy was only 5 pounds, so I feel like she just slipped on out.
I know.
Barely had a push. So instead of talking about the negative, what have been the favorite moments of pregnancy?
I mean, I guess just watching you grow him.
That's sweet. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, there's not many.
Like, we understand it's a blessing, and that's, like, what God's taught me through this, too, is just to find joy in everything, in the little things. Like, what would you say God's taught you through, I guess, this whole season and bringing this new life in, and just, it's been hard. It hasn't been rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess that, like, find joy and peace in the pain sometimes, and like sometimes, you know, the end result is worth like what you have to go through to get there.
And I think about like Jesus too, and like the pain he suffered on the cross. But it's like childbirth, how I say, I would do that again before I whatever, because there's pain with a purpose, and you know you're bringing this new life into the earth, and it's such a blessing. And so, like, Jesus died on the cross for all of us, and going through that pain and suffering, he would do it all again for us, in which we're like, wow, why? Yeah, anyways. That was spiritual. So anyways, all in all, there's so many more questions. We will have to do a Q&A postpartum after we have him. We are literally days away from meeting him. And so I'm just so excited.
I know,
I'm
it's
so
crazy.
Excited to see what life's going to look like and all. Who knows what's to come, but just can only pray for his will to be done. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what a journey this has been, though.
Yeah,
what a pregnancy journey.
Yeah.
And thank y'all for just being here and watching. It's been so fun sharing this journey with y'all. I'm not sure how postpartum will look. We might take some time off from filming. We're just gonna, that's what we talked about. We don't want to put pressure on it because I know we've been doing 2 videos a week and all that. So we just are going to see how it all goes.
Kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, we don't know how his birth's going to go and all that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. We love y'all. And hope you have a blessed day. And
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.